All right, we are live for session 4. Going to just jump in and start building bots today. So bring your questions. I'll even type that up. Put that into the show. So here we are in session 4. So to this point, you should have built out quite a few things for yourself that can create efficiencies. Hopefully you've started learning how ChatGPT's memory systems work, how everything comes into play with ChatGPT, and how we are able to utilize this to streamline a ton of content creation. So yesterday I kind of showed you how to build a bot that would build a blog for you. And so today I want to create some video content. So I'm going to work on something that I need to get out for myself. So if you are in my Creative First Mortgage Agent bots, or sorry, my agent group on Facebook, you would have seen a post that I created the other day. And I can add you to that group if you're not. So make sure you're putting in the comments if you're not in the group. I think most of you are. But basically, it's a group where I post relevant content, fun stuff, marketing stuff, and a whole bunch of different things that allow you to kind of see into the day-to-day of what I do, creating content as a mortgage lender and relevant information, all of the above. So in that post, I was up late after coming back from AIM Fuse this weekend with a ton of ideas flowing through my brain. So I just took out my whiteboard and put in a bunch of different topics that I could create video content for. And so today I'm going to focus on doing that while you guys kind of interact with questions or anything like that. And if we have to go back to where you are right now, if you're having trouble building a bot, if you're having trouble building just those guardrails that we had talked about originally, put those questions in the chat and we can definitely jump back into those. So I'm going to go ahead and just add ChatGPT to the stage here, and we'll make it even bigger for all of us. And I'm going to move my face if I can. Nope, can't move my face. All right, so I will make sure I'm scrolling up. So not getting into GPTs, but we have our projects. So like we've talked about, we've got our building blocks here. I've got a go high level building block project. So really what I talked about yesterday a little bit was keeping this stuff in the projects and making sure that everything you are creating stays in projects. You can really, like, as you can see, I've got a ton of chats here. So after I complete this class, I'm actually going to wipe out my entire ChatGPT and I'm going to film while I do it and while I rebuild everything. So I'm going to basically go in and pull out anything that's relevant, and I'm going to wipe out all of my chats and all of my memories so that I can start fresh. And I may even do it on a fresh account just so I can keep this one as kind of a backup. But I'm going to do that so that I can have everything set up the way I want it exactly. And you guys are lucky because you've probably played around in it, so you don't have all that much stuff. And if you're a little bit deeper into it, maybe wiping out everything isn't the way to go. But that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to start over so that I can really build this thing to be just a content engine. So I'll have kind of one ChatGPT account for whatever I want to use it for. And then I get to have a ChatGPT account for building out my content and building everything that I really want to build with the new knowledge that I have. So I'm going to jump in and we're going to utilize this to create videos. And so I'm going to activate BB step 1, QC. And as we saw yesterday, it doesn't like when I go off of it. And I think that some of my problems here with activations are actually because of all of the interacting stuff that I've got going on. And so I'm going to be able to, once I create it the way I want to create it fully, I'm going to be able to just like wipe out everything and be able to make sure that it accesses exactly what I want to access instead of just some of what I want to access. So I'm going to activate BB step 2, voice. So we'll have my voice in there. And so now I get to call back onto our framework for setting up and prompting after we've activated these things. And so let me pull that back up quick. So let's do image file and find the image file here. If I can find it, I think I have in session 3. Yep. So I'm going to pull the prompting session back up here. So again, we're going to use some of these as our prompting structure to make sure that we're getting the results that we want, because we're telling it what it needs to do, who it needs to be, and how it needs to talk to us. So with these building blocks, we can turn these things into postscripts and local influence. So as a real estate agent, if you're not focused on local influence, you're probably not winning as much as you could be. So we want to use human stories, and we want to lead with your life, not a rate sheet, right? Like as real estate agents, you want to focus more on the lifestyle. You get to sell the house, which is, even if you're not the listing agent, you can pull random houses. You can reach out to that listing agent and be like, hey, I want to use your home in a marketing video. Do you mind if I use your photos? You can scroll through Zillow, like literally just use Zillow as a scrolling page. I've done this in the past where we've talked about like looking back into what it was worth in prior years and how much appreciation has been gained and how much value has been gained in those houses. You could pull the most expensive home in Zillow and utilize that. Using ChatGPT for stuff like that, you can build scripts for those conversations, and then you're going to get better at presenting on screen because you're going to have it scripted, teleprompter, all of that stuff. So we can basically create a social media manager bot. So we would want to have the role, the task, the context, and the clarifying questions in these prompts to make sure that the social media is coming out the way we want it to. So Reels teleprompter engine, this is what I'm talking about basically building out here. Is I've got a list of 15 topics that I want to create video around, and I want to create long form video on them. And so I'm going to show you how I'm going to build that today based off of the 15 ideas that I have. I'm only going to do one because obviously each one of these can take a little bit of time. But if you're doing this all on your own and writing out your own scripts, you're not utilizing the tools that are at your hands to be able to create content that actually is engaging and interactive. So we want to go back to our slide on our prompting. Where did that go? There we go. So we want it to be role first. So we're going to say your role is a viral content creator and script writer. You've been working at this. So basically, I'm going to describe myself here because I have been working at it for a long time, for 10 years. And you've noticed what works and what doesn't. You have tried everything and know exactly what direction to take long form content and build the correct content structure so that people stay engaged. So I'm giving it that role first. I'm also going to add, you are also a genius at designing content that people can search for and have it populate in searches when they are looking for content that is relevant. Okay, so there's our role. So now we want to go back, and our next one is task. So what are we going to task this bot with? So I'm going to hit enter just for my clarity so that I can figure out where we are in the process. So you've got the role. The task is your task is to take ideas that I will give you, turn them into video scripts, and help me create content as described above. I will give you full creative control as the expert in creating this type of content. but I do want you to ask me clarifying questions to make sure we are aligned in theory behind the content. So I will edit full. And we'll go here and then I'll hit Shift Enter. Now our next piece is context. So the context really is just like framing it in a way of like who's watching the content, who's going to be absorbing the content, who do you want to target, that kind of stuff. So for context, I am building a brand new YouTube page that will be geared towards content that helps loan officers be successful in their businesses. My idea is to put out 2 to 3 long form, 4 to 10 minutes, weekly, and then use that long form content to break it down into shorts that will also be posted to the channel. Creating mini hooks throughout the content is essential. Reminder to use my voice and QC guardrails so you do not veer into territory I should not discuss. All right, so now I'm going to hit enter and just let it cook. So now it kind of gave me a fast response here. So I'm going to flip it actually once this pushes out. I don't really want these to just spit it out. It's kind of taking surface level information at this point. So as you can see, it came up really quick, right? So the auto, which I'm selected, went to instant, right? Because it didn't think, it didn't explore, it didn't do any of that stuff, right? So what I want to do is run it to thinking, and I'm going to tell it to think. So please rerun my prompt with the new model to ensure you understand the psychological profile of mortgage loan officers or originators, because that's what I'm calling it. If I can spell. So now it's going to think for a while. So I'm going to go back to my slideshow a little bit, and I realize again, I'm not even putting ChatGPT on the stage. I did this yesterday, and that's not what I want. So I'll scroll back through this for you here. So I put in this this prompt, and I read it out loud, but here's the actual prompt that I put in. So I basically told it as a role, I want it to be a viral content creator and script writer. That's going to be the role you're going to take. You've tried everything and you know exactly. So if you can give it a little bit more in the role section where you can tell it like what it's tried, what it's done, what it hasn't done, you can actually show that like it's going to describe a little bit more about the person you want it to be. So you want the person to have had challenges as well as understanding now what works and what doesn't. So the task then becomes to take the ideas that I give you, turn them into video scripts, and help them create content as above. So for context, I'm giving what I'm doing and what I want to be able to do throughout the long-term form of using this as a bot. And then I just remind it to use the voice and the QC guardrails, and then it shouldn't not discuss. So as I said, it was using the auto and it spit out an instant answer. I felt like this was kind of surface level because of how fast it answered. So now I wanted it to be into the thinking one. So it gave me some questions. I ignored those questions. And then I said, please rerun for my prompt. So now it did 16 seconds. So now it's saying, I will apply an MLO psychology lens to everything. Commission pressure, short time horizons, craving leverage, resistance to vague theory, and a bias towards tactics that create near-term pipeline wins without breaking trust with referral partners. So it's giving you like, what can we do for quick wins that also last long-term? So quick alignment check, embed your content architecture for draft scripts. So now it's asking me, how do I want this to actually work? So now I just go through and I answer some of these questions. How do you want to be perceived by loan officers? Educated, motivator, strategist, operator, or a blend? So I would say I want, so I'm going to actually put number 1 here. I want to be a blend of all of these. And my brand is one of an educator first with supportive language. And I am an in the trenches mortgage loan originator myself. So I'm actually going to put MLO because that's how it. So then I want to like really bring in that this is who I want the content to speak from. So core pillars now. So which 3 to 5 pillars do you want to own? Example, you can keep or replace daily operating system for producers, referral partner acquisition and retention, social content that turns into applications, CRM and pipeline control, team building and scale. So really, like, I know I'm good at this one. I'm also really good at social content. And I also, everyone wants referral partners, right? So I'm going to say I want to focus on, and I'm just going to copy these. So click copy and paste. And then social content that turns into applications. And then CRM and pipeline control, including database, because database is where a lot of people are missing their money. Okay, so now I'm going to go to 3. Target persona and stage. So I don't want to really necessarily target a new LO needing its first 10 loans. I may create videos based off of that a few times, but not really what I want to do. I want to say a mid producer stuck between 18, 15 loans a month. As many of us know, a mid producer is not 8 and 15 loans a month, so don't feel bad about that. But I'm going to change 8 and 15 to 3 and 7 loans a month. And then we're going to say business outcomes. Okay, so what are the business outcomes? What should every video push towards for the viewer? For example, should we book 3 partner meetings in a week? Should it be add 100 qualified leads to CRM monthly, or increase app to submit conversion by 10%? Pick 2 or 3 measurable wins. So now it's asking me, what do I actually want the outcomes of this content to be able to produce that outcome in the content? So I'm going to say, I want this to focus on the MLO feeling as if they can do what the video breaks down and understand the steps it will take to get there. So we want to create a general structure. I'm not really focused on, like, I don't want to say like you need to do this, you need to do that, because each video is going to focus on something different. So I want to kind of create more of a general structure here instead of a very specific structure for this one. So the outcomes of performing the actions in the videos will lead to more conversations, and some of the videos will then focus on converting those conversations. So number 5, offers and CTAs. So really this is going to lead, I'm going to lead everything back to, we've created a website called beamortgagebroker.net, and that website will be kind of our housing for all of the information we're putting out. I'm also building out course structure similar to this, so I would be able to give access to some of those LOs as access for this. So we're going to say, let's touch base on this again later. However, all content for now should lead to beamortgagebroker.net, where they can gain information about working with Creative First Mortgage. So now we want format and delivery. So talking head with pattern breaks and on-screen prompts, it's really all I do. I don't do a whole lot of the fancy editing stuff. As you can see, if you go back and look at my content across years, I've done a lot of what I'm doing right now, which is essentially instructional content that helps people. And so talking head really is kind of the only way that I'll do content. However, I will want to add in content will be the primary method with the occasional screen share and live audit. So that's really just, again, it's just making sure that how we're doing it. So now it's asking me, like, do you have numbers, screenshots, anonymized deals, or client wins I can reference with credibility without sharing rates or program specifics? So this is now asking me, like, what's your proof of being able to do what you're saying you're going to do? So I'm basically just going to say reference my voice prompt and bio for reference, for this content when inserting it. So that's, those videos are going to be like, I did this, I got 100 deals kind of thing. And so, obviously, if we're going to do something, like I've built my entire business around social media and doing what we're doing right here, that's really the gear of all of the content. So I don't necessarily need to put those things in there. I may drop a few in just for creating something that kind of spreads farther. If I want more reach on a couple of videos, I may throw that stuff in there and really just kind of like put the social proof or background into that place. So constraints and guardrails, any topics you want to avoid beyond compliance basics, any length constraints or shorts or long form or gear limitations I should know. So no topics are off limits except for comparing rates, fees, etc., as described in my QC guardrails. So this is the advantage of having this stuff set up. You don't have to tell it every time. You get to just say, reference my QC guardrail, and then it pulls it out. So cadence and capacity, you mentioned 2 to 3 long videos weekly. How many hours can you reliably film and edit per week so I can right size scripts and B-roll? So this is literally telling you, like, how much are you actually committing to this? I'm going to say I am committing to 6 to 8 hours a week of filming, editing, and posting. So obviously 6 to 8 hours a week of filming, editing, and posting probably really comes down to like 3 hours of filming, which if I'm doing 2 4 to 10 minute videos, very easy. I can also upload with utilizing AI in the background. I can also upload these to some AI posting tools that I have that allow me to create short form content and do a couple quick edits and post it right away. So this is something that can be done very easily. I also have a team that I've hired to take 20 to 30 minute episodes or 20 to 30 minute videos that I've got, and they'll create 30 to 50 shorts out of that for me and post it across my platforms. So I've done the work up front of this. So obviously, this is not necessarily where you are. That's okay. This is just me building a bot that I know is going to work for me. And if you've got questions on it while I'm building it, that's what it's here for. So now we're going to shift to number 10. Competitive map, name 2 or 3 channels your ideal viewer already watches. Avoid cloning, but this helps target search and suggest it. So now this is where I'm going to actually shift and share. I'm going to stop the screen here, and we're going to actually share YouTube. So give me a second to do that. And so this is obviously our YouTube channel. So we're going to go into YouTube, and this is in the studio. So give me a second to change it to YouTube. So we're going to YouTube here, and we're going to share and change. So we're going to go mortgage loan originator tips. So this is, you can now do some market research for yourself. So how to maximize your work week, a guide for mortgage loan originators. So T-Lop is amazing. He was actually at AIMFuse as well. This is something that I would
in another
basically utilize consistently. So I'm going to say the Loan Officer podcast is one of those. So we're going to paste that. We're going to then do Shift Enter, and I'm going to find another one. So I'm going to go back and we're going to find another one. So mortgage marketing animals, another one that's huge. As I'm mentioning these, the loan officers watching this are definitely understanding the direction I'm going with this. And then I want to go back and kind of see who else shows up here. So I actually know Michael McAllister in this video. He is actually using a CRM as he is basically selling the CRMs called Empower LO. He's a great dude, does a lot of work for the loan officer community. Enrique and Greatness, he's also another one. If you look, this has 6,800 views from 10 months ago. So that's a solid one to kind of focus on. I'm actually going to jump down and see if I can find a name I know a little more. So Amir Syed, this is
I closed on
right here. So Amir Syed is somebody we saw speak this weekend. He's fantastic. So I'm going to give him in there as well. So now we're going to say, like, I've answered all of their questions. It's given me, like, as you can see, this is a deep dive into what we're wanting to create. So I'm going to click enter. We're going to let it think. It's going to go research on those YouTube pages themselves, and then it's going to come back. So I'm going to let it think and let it cook for a while here. It's going through the thinking process. As you can see, like, it's showing you what it's doing. It's going to include the CTAs to avoid explicit programs or rates. So here it's basically giving me the architecture of what I want to build, right? So it's telling me this is going to be the prompt that's going to pull every time I activate this bot. This is 100% what we want as output, right? So it gives me video number one. So this is examples of what it could do or what it would create. And so now we read through these and we just want to make sure that these are on par with what we want. So now it's giving me general structure, right? It's giving me the script. So I don't necessarily want to have a specific script. I kind of enjoy being able to expand and blossom my content off of just bullet points. And so I'm going to tell it that now that we've got the structure created, it's still creating content for me. So look at this. It's like absolutely outlining and scripting out 100% of the content that I need to read. So if you were using a teleprompter app, we have one that's called Story that we use. That's really good for short form videos because you're filming on your phone and it's filming, you film a reel or a post that way. This is great for stuff like that. So now it's actually showing me the clipping map template, like how you would clip it, right? So you would map out everything, each step as a short with its own punchline. So if you go back to the way it's framing it out, so this shows promise and credibility. So this would be the hook. This is the body. This is the hook. New leads, send a same-day voice text and 2-line SMS right here. Boom. Now you're getting into the body. So each one of these is its own mini video that would then send people back to the video on YouTube. So posting and workflow, now it's showing me how exactly to post and use the workflow. So I'm going to say, I want you to create the long form scripts in bulleted fashion instead of complete scripts. This allows me to put my expertise and knowledge into each script instead of pulling your information. And I did it again where I didn't flip it back. So we're going to remove that one. Give me a second. Thanks, Nicole. I'm doing this over and over again. This is why it's free, because I'm not an expert. All right, so as you can see, I'll scroll back up and explain what I just explained quickly, but it's breaking down everything that we want, right? So it shows scripts, it shows the big hook for the whole video. Then it shows individual mini hooks that we can create here. 5 steps, connector 25, intro test, meeting, ask confirmation. So basically it's giving you like what you would put on the screen as a pop-up. It shows exactly the content you'd want to make. So each one of these is its own kind of mini reel for 30 seconds to a minute, and it gives you access to be able to create all of that in one go. So as you can see, each video. So I don't really, like I've mentioned, I don't really like the idea of the concept of creating a script that I'm going to read word for word. If that works for you, that's perfectly fine. You would just then use these scripts as long form scripts, and that's okay. I enjoy the concept of just putting kind of out bullet points. So that's what I reprompted it with here. As you can see, it's got the clipping map and how do you clip it, and then posting and workflow, how you would post it. You would batch your captions, batch your shorts, record the one long video in one sitting. Basically this is going to be under 8 hours a week total for filming, editing, and posting. Puts the CTA everywhere. Again, you would just post that in your YouTube description. I wouldn't really necessarily put a CTA in every single video. It just gets clumsy and nobody watches it anyway. So as soon as you start the CTA, they kind of shut it off. So, but here it shows, I said, I want to create the long form scripts in bulleted fashion instead of complete scripts. This allows me to put my expertise and knowledge instead of just pulling your information. So now it's going, instead of giving me one option for a hook, it gives me two options for a hook. And then it allows me to act as me and really kind of teach this stuff out and build out everything that it was talking about in the script that it already gave me. But now I can use my words and my expansion on the topic in each video. And that's what's really going to stretch this to 4 to 10 minutes. I found that if I read a script, it really reduces the quality of the content because my eyes are constantly looking back and forth to read the teleprompter. It also doesn't necessarily allow me the freedom that I enjoy in my content. So as you can see, it kind of expands it a bit, but it gives you mini hooks for shorts. So you would want to work these in to your content so that you would know where to edit it. And your AI editor will also pull this stuff out as mini hooks as well. So if you are recording long form content, I'm kind of crossing over into the video production piece here, but if you're recording long form content, creating mini hooks inside your content is the absolute best way to be able to create so much more content over time, because you're able to then just pull those little clips out and use them as shorts. And for examples of this, you can go to any one of my social media platforms. And I've taught my business partner, Jason, this, and we do it inside the content that we create together. Any of the podcasts I do, I'm breaking it down question by question to create mini hooks inside the questions and allowing then that person, whoever's answering the question, to have their own shorts content. Which, little plug, by the way, if we haven't done a podcast episode together and you'd like to do a podcast episode, reach out. I'm all for it. We'd get on screen just like this. I'd have the questions prepared for you and you'd be able to roll through it. That's also on YouTube, on our Creative First Mortgage YouTube page. So this is just, again, it's just breaking down the bulleted points. So I'm loosely reading these. I think it's got the kind of the concept that I want here. And so now it's saying, want me to package these into teleprompter cards and a one-page shoot sheet for each. So no, I don't really want that. So I don't need that stuff right now. So I'm going to tell it, I want this to be a bot that I can activate in future chats. So now it's going to build the bot in the background. So it's summarizing all of the information that we just talked about so that I can use this in a future conversation as a bot that uses all of the rules that get set up. So now it's telling me what it should be called. It's going to tell me how to activate it. It's going to tell me how I can use it in the future. And then we get to lock it in, and then we can jump in a new chat and activate it. And now it knows exactly what I want to create. So as you can see, like, this took about a half an hour for us to roll through with my ad-libbing of it. If we stuck to just creating, it probably would have been a little bit less time than that. But now I've got something that'll create me a script within a few seconds after we complete creating the bot. And so this is what I want you to see as possibility for you for the future. It doesn't necessarily have to be, see, I was saying it's now a persistive bot. It says activate MLO content bot. It'll tell me it's activated just like the other chats that we've already created. Nicole, I haven't really gotten into any coding stuff. I've done some coding for the websites using ChatGPT. I'm knowing how deep code can go and how little mistakes you have to make to mess it up that way. I haven't really dove into anything outside ChatGPT for that. And Nicole's question was, do you ever use Claude to create bots using code? And Nicole, I know you mentioned this on session 1 that you've done one that you've created for different things. And for me, ChatGPT just has been the one that I've focused on, and that's why I'm focusing on these trainings. Is it allows me to just understand what I'm doing, and I'm able to build on that understanding every single day, which is why you're seeing the ease of output here. Once I'm building these bots, I know exactly what to say, when to say it, how to answer, what to answer. Really, it's ultimately what you're comfortable with, and I will tell anybody that, like, these principles can still apply inside other programs. I feel like ChatGPT's gotten a lot better at writing. I've actually created a ton of content using ChatGPT, and I've been randomly testing where, you know, they have the AI detectors. I've randomly tested now content that gets written with ChatGPT, and I've copied and pasted into those AI detectors, and it's come back as 0% human. So because of the amount of work that I've put into creating my voice inside this system, I can basically beat AI detectors. And so that's the goal, right? Is to make it sound human. It's not to replace yourself. It's not to add more work to your plate. It's to streamline it. And so if you're good at creating code, if you're good at using Claude, then use Claude, right? If you're good at using ChatGPT, or if you want to explore that, that's what I'm focused on. Use that. If you're good at using Gemini, use Gemini. If you're good at using Samsung AI, use Samsung AI. Like there's so many different ones out there, and we can go as broad as we need to. You know, there's definitely a piece. There's other systems that I tie into this. I use 11 Labs for creating voice content that is actually me speaking, which is pretty cool to be able to utilize. It's you know, like $20 a month or something like that, and I can create. Basically, I just activate the 11 Labs bot that I've built, and it puts it out phonetically so that 11 Labs can read it properly with the right tone and delivery. You know, there's definitely things that you can stack on top of this and make and have success with, for sure. So now, as you can see, like in my bot, I've created a bot that allows it to be activated. So it's asking me to test it now. So, you know, I'm not going to continue to go down this rabbit hole with you guys, because now I can go create a whole bunch of content really quickly based off the ideas that I've developed. But this now has a structure that I will be able to use. So MLO Content Bot is geared 100% towards creating content for mortgage loan officers, and it's going to create YouTube scripts and structure for me to go now create those 2 to 3 videos a week. So that's all I've got today, and I appreciate the engagement, Nicole and others. Thank you for being on with us, and I will get yesterday's replay out to you. If you couldn't tell yesterday in the video, I was extremely migrained. I was just trying to give the best I could to get through it. So I haven't done the editing on the backside for that one yet, but I will be able to get that out to you as well. So I'll kind of send you a dual replay email this afternoon once I get through editing and all the content. So yeah. No, I'm not that far yet, Angel. I haven't reproduced myself that way yet. Funny interaction at AIM this weekend. We met with Kenneth Travis, who is kind of a mentor of mine, and ran into him, and he's been doing some AI videos that have been building through it. No, I'm not that far advanced yet to be able to create that content yet, but who knows? Maybe down the line. I think the for me, using AI as support instead of replacement, as I've mentioned a couple of times, is extremely important. So the goal isn't to add another stream of revenue. The goal is to support the stream of revenues that you are good at as a human, program it into ChatGPT, and then being able to utilize it so that people are still seeing the human, people are still interacting with you as a human. And all it does is create more phone calls and more conversations for you. And so, you know, if you're not good at converting conversations, I would say get good at converting conversations. This can support driving those conversations, but it's still not going to make you a better salesperson. It's not going to make you a better relationship person. You know, you can utilize it to give you tips on that stuff for sure. But you know, it really comes down to focusing on growing the relationships and still being a human, because everybody's worried about AI replacing them. And if we allow AI to replace us, then what's left? It's not going to be able to be a scenario where we can put our personal spin on a transaction if we allow AI to do that. And so you still have to keep the human aspect of it. And when those conversations get created, that's kind of where, the conversation part of yourself takes over, and bringing in yourself as a person. So hopefully that was helpful. I think we've got all the questions squared away for today. So we will see you tomorrow at 1:00, and I will get, like I said, yesterday's replay and today's replay and summary out to you. If you are missing or have any gaps, don't be afraid to reach out. I'm always here to help you through any little piece of this to touch base on. Nicole, I did get your text about being on the podcast and having you on our podcast. So let's touch base, and we will get that in line and get some structure and figure out what's best to talk about for both of us. So appreciate all of you. See you tomorrow.